I wonder if there's anyone left on this wagon train besides myself. I think Austin is still reading these books. Hyde and Reed should be. I mean, he's the one that started this whole thing. I'm so glad Faceless is gone. Playboy. Yeah, right. Wasn't James our cook? And where the heck has the trapper been? There was a girl. I think there was a girl on the wagon train. Well, anyways, I'm enjoying this. Stick around. This might be the best Western I've read. Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads, where today I'm talking about The Lonely Men by Louis L'Amour, published in 1969. This is book number 12 in the Sackett series. Wow. Yeah, I've got a lot to talk about. Let's dive right into some details and talk about the summary of this book. We are in the areas of El Paso, Texas, and Yuma, Arizona. It's 1875. I know there's about 500 miles between those two places, but the story spans those places and then goes into Mexico. And the premise of the story really revolves around Tel Sackett and my favorite character. And so it kicks off with such a bang. We're in this, dive right into this Indian fight with Apaches. This fierce warrior, Cottony from the Apaches, and Tel getting in a knife fight and people dying and torture. It's just really intense and visceral. This book was just so good. And so it starts that, but then it goes into a little bit of a backstory, and you catch up to the current where Tel Sackett gets a letter from Laura Pitts Sackett, who is Orrin's wife. At least in Tel's mind, that's Orrin's wife, and she tells Tel that she has no one to turn to. Orrin's in Washington, D.C. doing congressman work, and she is in Yuma, Arizona, and their young son, has been taken by Apaches into Mexico. And she needs Tel's help to retrieve his nephew. And so Tel gets together with some of his friends, Roca, Spanish Murphy, and John J. Battles, and they go to Yuma, Arizona to meet up with Laura to get details and try to put together an outfit and head into Apache country in Mexico. At first, Tel wants to go by himself, and then obviously his friends are like, "Hey, we're riding and dying with you, buddy." And so it's going to be a mission. Apaches are fierce warriors. They're going to be in the desert. There's going to be conditions, water's going to be scarce. Everything is up against them. Once they get there, how they're going to navigate. Apaches are fierce warriors, tribes. They know how to track and scout and live off the land. And yeah, they're up against some tough opponents. And so that's the premise of this. So let's talk about what I like. Tel Sackett, by far, is my favorite character in the Sackett series. I really thought originally Barnabas was going to be my favorite character, but Tel is eclipsed that by a lot, actually. And that's saying something, because I really like Barnabas as well. Obviously, he's the original Sackett that we get to meet, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed him. And so I really enjoyed Laura. She's the main antagonist in this story. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to spoil anything here. I really enjoyed Spanish Murphy, Roca. You get John J. Battles. The original battle with Cottony, the Indian, the Apache, that isn't over. And that's not a spoiler because it comes into play in the story in quite a robust way towards the last third. And the Apaches in general, the fact, L'Amour wrote this really visceral novel because we get to see a lot of how Apaches function. The one point in there where they're basically shooting, burning hot wood chips, as arrows into a tied up prisoner. And it talks about how the fact that the Apaches feel like their cachet is better when they find a very fierce warrior that while they're torturing that warrior, that they can last long, and it makes them feel better as a warrior, because if they torture someone and they don't last, then they don't feel like that was a strong enough warrior to be captured type thing. It was really interesting reading but very raw. And so I really enjoyed that. There's definitely some nods to the other Sacketts, as in most of these Sackett novels. I really liked Dorset, is this woman character that comes into the story. And is there going to be a romance between Tell and Dorset? She definitely can stand on her own as a character. I really liked her. I always like a very strong female character in these novels, and we got two of them. Laura being the one I liked and hated, and Dorset being one I was rooting for. And then, the cunningness of Laura in this story is really, really good. I liked how this thing ended. It is very interesting ending. I really liked it. I liked how not everyone lives. And so I'll leave it at that as well. I liked how Mexican Don came back into the story. He was from a previous Sackett entry. I liked how he came back in. He's a ranch owner, helps them out down the line in their situation, which they have various situations throughout this story. But again, 170 pages, this thing has so much in it. So let's talk about excerpts. There's two I have. I figure I was shaped to be a wallflower, but I don't mind. I sort of like to sit back, listen to folks, to drink coffee, and to contemplate. And that was how William Tell Sackett described himself, especially at the beginning of the story when he gets to Yuma and he's trying to figure out what's going on with Laura and his nephew, and he's waiting to meet Laura because he's never officially met her. And so I thought that was really interesting to get a little introspectively look at Tell Sackett. And then another one was, no matter what a man sets out to do, it seems it always costs him something. And that was indicative of the fact that he's trying to put together an outfit, and it always cost him money. But it's also kind of a nod to what he's about to do in going into Mexico and facing the Apaches was something that was probably going to cost him as well. And so I thought it was really good excerpts. No dislikes. In terms of rating and overall, this is a 4.8. It's a humongous score. It's a higher score than Lonesome Dove. I'm just throwing that out there. Now, people are going to be like, what? No way. Lonesome Dove. Here's the thing. Lonesome Dove may be one of the few books this year, well, the few books in general, but this year especially, where I might go back and revisit the score. Lonesome Dove is sticking with me, and that's saying something. So, yeah, when I look at this book, though, when I look at Lonesome Dove, they're definitely two different stories. Lonesome Dove is incredible. It has its own flaws, though. I thought it was a little slow in the beginning, and this one definitely is not. For what this is, this is phenomenal. And what Lonesome Dove is, in its huge epic story, it's phenomenal as well. They're both phenomenal in their own rights. So it's hard to compare and contrast these two. Now, with that being said, again, I may go back and reevaluate my scoring for Lonesome Dove. It's not a 5. It's never going to be a 5, in my opinion. There's definitely some flaws there. But I might boost it from a 4.75 up higher. This is a 4.8. It's the highest rated Sackett book. It is the highest rated Louis L'Amour book I've read. It's my favorite so far, without question. I liked it better than High Lonesome. I liked it better than Quick and the Dead. It's better than it's remarkably higher than the favorite Sackett series. So I liked how visceral it was. I liked the Apaches. I liked how Louis L'Amour held no punches here. So there is so much to enjoy here. But that's my review. Louis L'Amour, The Lonely Men, book 12 in the Sackett series, published in 1969, 4.8. Yeah, this thing was an absolute banger. So glad I stayed on this wagon train and got to this book. Even if the remaining books are kind of just okay, I'm glad I read this thing. And that is my review. I hope you all are having a great week, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Thanks.